Hello, everybody. Today, Blizzard had another Diablo dev chat. It's going to be the last one of the year. It's their final one for 2023. They'll be back in January, of course, talking about Season 3, but they wanted to do one more for the year, just finalizing some stuff coming soon, and a couple little hints and stuff in the future. Not too much was talked about that's like super newsworthy, but I'll just kind of run through some basic stuff. Soon on the timeline next week, we got the Abattoir of Zir. If you don't know, it's a new pinnacle end game activity. It's supposed to be extremely difficult. They actually showed a live demo. If I scroll ahead, here it is. They showed a live demo of this. Someone on the dev team playing. It's basically just extremely difficult. Greater Rift, if you remember those from Diablo 3. You just kill all the enemies within the time limit, and including a boss or some Bloodseekers that will spawn at the end. This does essentially require a very geared character, because even the tier 1 version of this dungeon is, I think the enemies are like a level 155, and it just scales up past that. They did mention that the scaling is actually closer, more about health and scaling for the monsters, so their damage doesn't necessarily scale as hard as you might expect. But it's more about, putting your build up to snuff so that you can survive and deal enough damage to, meet the time requirement. It looks like it's about 10 minutes, or it is 10 minutes for each attempt, including killing the Bloodseekers at the end. And the reward is a very powerful glyph. It's the Tears of Blood. It goes into your Paragon board, and everything, all the stat points that are in its radius basically gives you a just straight up damage multiplier. So that's very, very strong. And if you are currently playing Diablo, you should definitely try and get this if you can. The only caveat is that you do have to have the seasonal journey completed all the way up to chapter 7, whatever the final chapter is. You only have to do, I think it was 9 of those challenges to actually complete the chapter. So there's 2 challenges you don't have to complete, but you do have to do most of them. So that is required for even unlocking this at all. So it really is for pinnacle endgame characters. So, there may be some super gamers could figure out a build that works like pre-level 100, but it's definitely not meant for that. Lower level characters. It's definitely meant for super endgame capable players. Next up after that is going to be the Midwinter Blight. That's going to be on December 12th. Runs till January 2nd. It's just a seasonal event, a holiday event for Diablo 4. It takes place in the Fractured Peaks. It is just, you kind of just run around and do events. It's kind of the vibe I got. It's kind of more of like an open world, sort of casual, friendly kind of thing you can do. You just do some couple new events in the open world, and you can unlock some cosmetics. They showed off a couple of those earlier. Let's see if I can find some screenshots of some of the monsters. So you can earn these cosmetics through gameplay, through the event. There might be some like cash shop stuff, but at least these things you can earn in game by playing. Not too much to say there. They did mention there's actually a new offensive aspect that'll be added to the game relating to shrines, I think is what they said. There's also going to be a elixir that grants 10% bonus XP instead of the normal 5%, I believe. It's 5%. So that's neat, I suppose. Nothing too crazy, just a seasonal event to go earn some rewards and have a little bit of fun with for a day or two. Besides that, there's just some teaser stuff for Season 3 and even something about Season 4. So they didn't talk about Season 3 in terms of its theme or anything like that. We'll probably get a dev stream in the early weeks of January prior to Season 3's launch, where they will talk more in detail about Season 3. But they did have a little bit of a section about itemization. And they didn't have any details, really, but they have mentioned some sort of design pillar things where they want items that drop to be the start of the journey, is what they said. So you can get items to drop and kind of maybe work with them more than just you currently can, because you can replace one affix, but I think they maybe want to create stats that are more desirable and also have better ways of like interacting with loot, I suppose. Path of Exile does a phenomenal job of this with all the different currencies in Path of Exile, where you can modify gears in many different ways. So they don't really want people to feel the fatigue of having to like look at their inventory of gear and just get kind of overwhelmed with trying to know what you want on all the gear, and not having any way to properly deal with that. So there's some stuff coming down the pipeline. They said they're aiming for Season 4. But they have said a couple times in the stream that they want these changes to be, how do I say this? Not really a surprise. They've actually admitted that they're already talking with other content creators and other members of the community, of course, under NDA. They're not going to talk about that publicly in terms of any details. But they have said that they're already working and reaching out with other people in the community who are very, well versed in the game, and getting their feedback on that in the early stages of the design process for that. So that's kind of good to hear. They want it to be almost like an open secret, right? They don't want it to be like a surprise thing and then have it like suck, right? They really want a lot of good feedback early on while they're still working on it, to try and really nail it when it does come to the live game. So that's good. I like hearing that. Curious to see what that turns into. For Season 3, I believe this is a Season 3 change. So they really liked the Blood Harvest basically being active all the time. So they're going to make a popular community request, which is basically making Helltides permanently active all the time. I believe they said that Helltides will run for 55 minutes and then have a 5-minute break window. I'm not sure if it needs to have that 5-minute like downtime window, but it is what it is. So anyway, Helltides are essentially going to be up all the time. They'll run for 55 minutes with a 5-minute kind of cooldown, and then they will be active again. So basically, every hour they will be active for most of the hour, so you don't have to worry about logging in at the right time to do Helltides. So you can kind of just do them whatever you want. So that should make Living Steel a lot more accessible just for basically at any time, including what is that currency? The legendary cinders, whatever they're called. I forgot the name of that crafting currency that you can get from Helltide as well. Will be much more frequent to earn as well. Another point they wanted to bring up was that they, it feels good that like world bosses drop like 925 power gear, at least for like World Tier 4. But it kind of sucks that the only really consistent ways to earn 925 gear is by doing Duriel or a world boss. So it seems like they were implying that they want to kind of shift that around a little bit so that there's maybe some other ways to kind of semi-reliably earn some 925 gear. They didn't really specify anything in particular about that, but yeah, so there should be some improvements there where you don't have to only do Duriel or a world boss to reliably get 925 gear, so we'll see what that looks like. And then they had some Q&A stuff at the end, as they tend to do. There was not really a whole lot to mention, to be honest, but there are two questions that were brought up that I did want to highlight. So someone did ask about a loot filter. This has been asked a few times, over the months since the game was released. They did not have a very direct answer to this. So they didn't say that they are adding a loot filter, but they are saying that the Season 4 itemization changes will improve on this front. So it's almost like they're implying we maybe don't need a loot filter if the itemization changes are good enough. I have a hard time believing that, to be honest with you. They specifically said, I think it was Joe Shelley, I believe, said, quote, so significant that a loot filter today would not really help for Season 4's itemization changes. I'm very curious to see how that plays out, because I feel like a loot filter, regardless, would be good if it's designed dynamically enough that you could loot filter anything that you want to your needs. I think Last Epoch's loot filter is so good for this that you can... I'm not going to go into how Last Epoch does its loot filter, but it's very dynamic and it's very adjustable. and very user-friendly. You can do it all in-game with a pretty straightforward menu to do it all in the settings. So I would be surprised if they somehow find a solution that doesn't require an item filter, but we'll wait and see. That's a pretty bold stance to make, in my opinion. I don't think I can make do without a loot filter, but to say that they don't think they need one is pretty bold. So I'm very curious to see how they are going to change up the itemization in gear come Season 4. Another just not as important one, but another minor one I wanted to bring up was someone asked about like how the Butcher and the Bloodseekers are fun little random encounters in dungeons, and they also agree they're pretty fun. They have no direct announcements for this, but they do like how those random kind of chance encounters do spice up the gameplay in a pretty good way. So they want to do more of those. So again, no promises for that. That might be like a Season 4, Season 5 kind of edition, maybe later. That's just me taking a guess. That's not them confirming anything in particular. And another super minor thing is apparently they're going to buff the treasure goblins from the Avarice world boss, where you stagger him and like some treasure goblin spawn, and their loot drop rate for those treasure goblins is like so ass. It drops like 1 gold and like a material. It's horrendous. I don't know what they did to that. So they are buffing those treasure goblins. I at least drop loot and gold now. So that's good. And that's honestly pretty much it. I kind of skimmed a lot through that. But really, it's just do the Abattoir of Zir if you're on a max level character and you have the season journey completed. That'll go for basically towards the till the end of the season. I think it ends basically when the season ends for Abattoir of Zir. See how far your character can push. I'm gonna be trying it next week. I'm not sure. I actually don't think my barbarian build, my upheaval build, is actually going to do super hot in there, to be quite honest with you, based on comparing my build to other meta builds. But I'm still going to give it my good old college try. I will probably at least have something up for that. I actually might do a pre-launch kind of like open-ended video where I kind of just discuss like how viable I think the build might be and stuff that I might want to do to improve it going forward, and talking about how the Tears of Blood glyph affects the Paragon board, and doing all that kind of theory craft sort of video instead of Ronan. Anyway, I might do that. We'll see. I'll probably end up streaming that on next Tuesday at some point, doing some runs. I should at least be able to do the first couple of tiers, I would hope. Hopefully my character's not that bad. I don't think it's gonna be that bad. I can at least do tier 100 Nightmare Dungeons, so I should at least be able to do the first few tiers of the Abattoir of Zir. And then otherwise, yeah, just if you want to check out the holiday event later in December, it's on December 12th, I believe. Then go ahead and check that out if you want some extra little cosmetic goodies. Otherwise, that's basically it for the dev chat. I think they just wanted to do one final one for the end of the year. They did end the stream with a kind of a nice note talking about a little bit of reminiscing on the past year of doing kind of developer update live streams for the game, and they're excited for the holiday break, but they are, again, looking forward to the future of the game, and as I am, and hopefully you are too. So anyway, that's going to be all for me. A bit of a shorter recap video, but just a few bits of information here and there from the stream. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.